George and I met at the Salvation Army when I was homeless.
Okay. So, what do you need to see him about for today?
I'm sure. So I'm still dealing with homelessness. I have temporary rental assistance, though there's like inconsistent discontinuations, which means that my housing is vulnerable. And I was just made aware that the Section 8 link opens up January 13th. So I just want to try to get in alignment with him and try to get harmony with him.
Okay, so what do you mean by harmony with him? What do you mean? As in, like, you
Over
want
the
to
page?
apply for section?
Yeah. And
Okay, so what I'm gonna be honest about is that if you have temporary rental assistance, you have technically permanent housing. That way, we can't help you in the sense of like getting,
but how does that work when I met him while I was homeless and the case was open?
Yeah, the case was open because you were in a shelter. That's the requirement. If you have temporary rental assistance and paying, and if the state is paying for you to stay there.
So how do other people?
That's considered for you.
And how do other people get that kind of consideration, courtesy?
How much?
Courtesy. How do they get that courtesy? Why do other people get that courtesy and I don't get that courtesy?
And you don't get the courtesy? What do you mean?
Of being assisted with Section 8. I know people that came straight from Salvation Army to TRA, now they have Section 8, and they're very good friends of mine, they're my neighbors, and it happened here, so why is it not happening here for me?
Because technically you had to start from square one.
I started from square one. I met you at the Salvation Army. You don't remember me?
Yeah, I remember you. Yeah. And you worked with him, but then there was a period of time where you fell off.
No.
I'm very sorry, but that was what was told.
I was they misinformed you. I found the address and I found the employment opportunity before he even reached out to me after meeting him at the Salvation Army. And then he wanted to come to my apartment when he has an office. So I was made uncomfortable. I'm like, if I were a girl and a man did that to a girl, what the fuck is this about? So that's why I stopped talking to him. It's not because I didn't want to continue or remain dedicated, disciplined, and consistent with my need for help. It's like now I'm being disenfranchised because I was made to feel uncomfortable. And now they're making me feel uncomfortable and disenfranchising me. Yeah, it's despicable. It's disgusting.
I get it.
And it's downright dirty. Seriously. So if they want to disenfranchise me, they're going to need to give a formal discontinuation letter or email so I can send to community health law, and then we can deal with it like that. So I advise that he responds because the longer that this delays, the easier of a case it is to make clear what's going on. So
about what? What do you think is going on?
I'll let the attorney start. Yeah. I'll let the attorney speak on my behalf.
For
disenfranchisement, discrimination, political prejudice, exclusifying. You guys get subsidized and paid to help people, right? Well, you should probably not be subsidized if you're not helping the people that you get paid to help. So maybe you want to communicate that to him.
So what I want to be real with you about is that we had the opportunity to talk to you. We had the opportunity to make, to see with you. However, there were things that were just.
You could just explain it to the attorney. So, do you have an email?
I do not have an email.
Yeah, I would like to.
So, I can give you mine.
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Let me be real. I have an opening next week. So I can work with you about the Section 8 for next week. I will be in Summit. If you want, I can meet with you next week. Now here's what I have to say. Okay, let's go. Now, is that just what it is? Is it just the Section 8? Is that the thing?
Yeah, because I've signed up for other links and they've been like spams on Facebook. Okay. I'm just trying to do the right thing. I don't want to be left out in the street homeless. I'm signing up for disability.
Do you know how long your TRA is going to last you?
They say until 2029, but to be honest, they've only paid it 2 times in the last 9 months. I have community health law reaching out to them and advocating on my behalf to say, do your job. Like, you get paid to do this. Like, why aren't you doing your job? Like, what yeah.
So you want to sign up for Section 8, and I understand that you have until 2029 to stay with TRA. Where are you staying right now?
And Mr. Sharma. And that's the only reason that Like they didn't pay TRA for 5 months. Imagine if I was at the
Who?
Salvation Army.
Mm.
Welfare.
Welfare?
Yeah.
Okay. From Elizabeth. They haven't paid.
Yeah, and then I had to go to community health law, and they had to send the emails, and then they paid 5 months back pay, which was in November,
Mhm.
and they didn't pay December, and then I had to have community health law reach out to them again. So it's not. So I'm in a vulnerable place. I'm in a vulnerable situation. Like
Okay.
nothing is guaranteed, and if I didn't have such a gracious landlord or gracious people like yourself who understand and take the time, you know, they be playing hardball and using and having me abide by rules and using the rules against me while not following or abiding the rules until somebody like an ally steps in and says, "Hey, bro, what's going on? Like, you know, what is it with him? Like, you know, what's the personal bias? What is it that you have with him? Because he's not doing anything except for asking you to do your job."
Okay. So what have you been doing in terms of like mental health?
Sure. I do family care on Mondays,
Okay, fair on Mondays.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, social clubhouse, and
Okay.
Thursday acupuncture for my brain injury. And
Okay. So have you talked to Bassi at all?
I don't know that.
So Bassi is our supportive housing director. So because you technically, and by the word, okay, this is just how it is. This is just how we have to work. Okay. One of the biggest reasons why we cannot work with you per se is because in the eyes of the state, you have permanent housing, and I understand. And you know, to anyone, even people off the street will say like, yeah, he doesn't have secure permanent housing. But that's just the definition that HUD, excuse me, HUD, excuse me. That is the definition that we have to work with. It's nothing against you, it's just how the state will see it. And we just have to say what the state says.
Yeah,
Okay?
Sounds like a convenient pretext. to be honest.
I know. But that's just how it has to work. Otherwise, we'll get in trouble with the person in the bottom. We're always in the middle. I'm gonna be real there. Like I have to make sure, he has to make sure,
Yeah.
she has to make sure, you know, we are going by the state. And I understand for a lot of people it doesn't seem fair, and it seems like that's your job. You're supposed to help people, and then we have rules by the state saying like no, they can't do X, Y, Z. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call Bassi.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask Bassi, what's your name? John Hurtado, right?
Yes.
And I want to know if there is any way that I can get you into that. Give me 1 second. I don't know. I don't have my phone right now. Can I come back in?